Well, welcome back, everyone, to the Smite Pro League, powered by Alienware. I told you you were stuck with me today, but you don't have to be stuck with a bad PC. Instead, you can go and use code SMITE8W there at smitegame.com/Alienware to make sure that you get it. And we want to say thank you to Alienware for coming on board as our exclusive title sponsor and let you know what the pros are playing on an Aurora R10 Ryzen desktop, and they've got the Alienware 25-inch 240Hz gaming monitor. It's insane. It looks good. It plays well. For most of them, it was a lot more than they expected, as well as the fact that it's actually a really powerful stream machine. We want to say thanks again to Alienware for partnering with us for the SBL here in Season 8. And make sure that you check out their products. Give them a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Alienware, and join their global community at alienwarearena.com for giveaways and more. And again, with that, we say thanks to Alienware, and we can bring in the SBL for the day. I've got Aggro here on the desk next to me. I'm going to be honest, Aggro, I had no idea who was going to pop up next to me. I've been all over the place this morning.
Me.
And I'm really happy that it's you. I mean, we got to sit through and endure the SCC today, and now we get to enjoy what should be an interesting matchup here in the SBL. The Titans going up against the Valkyries a little bit later. We're going to be watching the Dragons and the Bolts, but this first one, it's definitely the one that it's maybe a little more tantalizing, right? Being able to see it, we've got a little bit of questions around the Valkyries right now on a 2-game loss streak, whether they can turn it around, but the Titans as well. I mean, this was not the start to the season I think they wanted or expected.
No, both these teams a little bit lower in the standings than I think a lot of people would have expected. But this is kind of the growing process for these two teams. These are two teams that have to do a little bit of maturation in different ways. The Valkyries have their rookie there in the jungle, and Johnny, that's the guy that everyone's looking at, and he's looked good on certain picks, but not on others. And then you've got on the other side the Tartarus Titans, who just need that time to mesh together as a unit. Not just Scary D also trying to learn the SPL jungle, but also how Paul and Cyclone are working together on that back line.
Yeah, I think a lot of conversation to have around them. And again, where they are, both of these teams in the standings, is a lot lower than I think some people would have expected. And, I mean, for the Valkyries, I believe, hanging around, number 5, tied with the Titans, actually. I didn't realize this was going to be a tiebreaker for them as well, so a little bit more weight behind it. Same thing, I think the Warriors and the Scarabs looking to try and get a little more wins. And there's a little more of a divisive gap between the top 4 and the bottom 4 right now. And this first matchup is definitely going to be able to bridge that gap a little bit. And depending on how the Kings-Bolts games go, there's a chance that they will bridge it a lot better. But we have to look at specifically the schedule for this week. Again, the Valkyries and the Titans going up first. Bolts, Dragons a little bit later today. But for the rest of the week, the Warriors versus the Titans. Again, another bottom matchup. If the Titans don't win this one, they have another chance for redemption tomorrow. Scarabs looking, I want to say looking for another win, but look, you're going up against the Dragons. That one's going to be difficult for them. We'll have to see as that one closes out Sunday. Bolts, Kings on Sunday as well. And the Leviathans and the Valkyries going to be playing tomorrow. A lot of really interesting, and I would argue intriguing matchups this week, Aggro. Is there one that's standing out to you above the others?
I think this Bolts Dragons matchup we have coming up next is really going to be exciting because the Bolts, this is really their next big test. They only have one loss so far this phase, and it's to the Atlantis Leviathans. You look at the top 4 teams right now, it's Dragons and Leviathans and Bolts and Kings. The Bolts have been beaten up on the lower end teams, but can they hang with that top end? They've already lost the one set they have up against the top 4. They've got the other 2 top 4 teams this week, and they start with the Dragons later on today. So I'm excited to see that one.
It's going to be fun to watch. I mean, we've seen some people give the Dragons the troubles, but it hasn't necessarily been the most effort, right? I mean, I think they've gotten only 2 zeros, and they've won every game as the Dragons, so definitely something that you're going to have to either push them to the limit or really flip things upside down. But either way, that's going to be the second match. The first one that we have coming up is the Titans versus the Valkyries. And the Valkyries is where we're going to get to zoom in our info a little bit right now. A team with Emilito, with Raffer. You got Johnny on here. Unfortunately, though, I will highlight again, I still believe Loki is currently competitively banned alongside that Persephone. So maybe one of the bigger picks. Honestly, it's for good reason. There's a bug that is absolutely something that, it's already got a fix on the way. But it does also feel like a Johnny nerf, a little bit there, Aggro. I know it wasn't specifically to target him. We don't create bugs to hurt players, but it does feel like this is going to be something they have to jump up. And Raffer, again, the way last season went, what we've seen out of him as a 2-time world champ, sometimes it's hit or miss.
Yeah, it's been a little bit hot and cold for him so far to start off. But that's kind of just the way it goes, especially for a guy like Raffer, who's always going to toe that very aggressive line. And, we have to mention, of course, that all of the Valkyries are playing on that EU ping, so it's not always easy to look like you're at your best. But this squad has shown us moments of really, really strong team play. They've showed us moments of getting into those late game team fights, and they've been drafting for those late game team fights. Some teams haven't let them get there, and that's been the key. I mean, we saw Johnny Zalkwong last week, and everyone was so excited. And normally he goes, all right, guys, see you in 18 to 20 minutes. We'll win then. That game lasted like 21 minutes. They didn't get a chance to really play. So that difference in play style, if the Valkyries could, they're picking Chang'e and Alkwong every game. That's not going to fly at this level unless you can get enough pressure around those picks in order to facilitate them. So I'm excited to see what this team has learned from another week of scrims. I think that they have some good ideas. They just need to find a way to transition those to the SPL level.
What's crazy is those two picks, though, you run back, both Johnny and Zeros last year were playing a lot of those in the SCC and dominating with them. So like you said, having to translate it to the SPL is the difficulty. And, of course, I think it's really funny, perfect timing that while you're talking about EUPing, Raffer hits a beautiful silence in the middle of a Sobek pluck to stop it. Just little moments like that, which showcase, I think, the high end and very much parallels the conversation of hot and cold. And another player that, and maybe team right now, realistically, that's been a little hot and cold, is going up against the Valkyries today here in the Titans. They are going to, both of these teams have a doubleheader this week, but this is the tiebreaker. The Titans is a team that, admittedly, when you look at it, at least for me, you look a little towards the mid lane because there's a lot of clout for it, but every single time I look at this team, the first thing my eyes go to is immediately the duo lane because these two have been playing together for a long time, and Aurora, especially in a game where support matchups I think are going to be very important, is a huge driving force that we got to see through Season 7. Hasn't quite gotten to hit that stride just yet here in Season 8.
Not quite, and we talked to him during the offseason. He came in and did some content with us, and he understood that last year was not his best year by any means. He definitely had a rough year for his own standards. And when you think about how good he has been in his career, it makes sense that last year wasn't good enough in his mind, despite a semifinal finish and, playing well at every playoff event, not doing well in the regular season definitely did not sit right with him. I still think of Aurora as a premier leader in the SPL among teammates and just what he's going to bring to a squad. He still has one of the most dynamic god pools that is going to make you change your picks and bans. He still has an instant win condition in support, but certainly we haven't seen that level. All those things that I'm saying about Aurora, I wouldn't say about faceless player A who's coming in and playing the way Aurora has last year and through the beginning of this year. It's really that resume and what he's done throughout his career that has earned him the slack that maybe he's gotten over these last few months. So I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm seeing more Aurora-like tendencies in his gameplay. He's being more aggressive. He's forcing more engagements on his terms. It's that the rest of the team isn't on the same page as him quite yet. But if I'm the coach of the Titans, if I'm Cherio, I'm saying, Aurora, go do whatever you think is good, whatever you think you're going to be able to get away with. And then the rest of the team has got to match that same energy because I think Aurora is a superstar.
And I think that's actually a perfect conversation. I think the team is really what's kind of corralling together right now. And Aurora erupting, at least last week, it seemed as the leader. Maybe this week we'll get to see a little bit more. In fact, why don't we just ask him if we get to see a little bit more? We got Aurora here for an interview, man. And I'm really excited for this one because, Aurora, I got to ask you, I think it's no surprise. Like, everybody can see it. This isn't the start that you guys wanted to the season. But after last week's win, are you feeling like the turnaround is right around the corner? Like, if things started to kind of click together?
Yeah.
Typical game day Aurora, man. Normally always willing to laugh around and have some fun, but on game day always locked in. What have you seen from the Valkyries so far, Aurora? I mean, they've been a little bit all over the place in the way they want to pick and ban, but they seem to be leading a little bit more late game. Is that what you've seen from them as well?
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
right,
that answer.
Now I got to think of another question that maybe won't have a answer. And I wish I had been doing this instead of laughing at the last answer so much, because now I'm at a little bit of a blank. I guess you're coming in today. The game face broken a little bit there. I mean, you've been playing things like the Ares. We talked about your Kabrak. The versatile support picks. Are we expecting you to be aggressive again today?
No.
See, there we go. We got the no. Either way, man, I guess I'm going to throw out one more to see if I can pull anything else out of you, which is just to ask, Scary D, the conversation there in the jungle, have things been going a little bit better? Again, week in, week out, you've got you guys plus Cherio kind of helping out. How are you feeling about the jungle?
Yeah.
Aurora,
I was trying to figure out how to.
This morning? What'd you have for breakfast
No.
this morning, Aurora? No, you didn't have any breakfast. Oh, good luck,
Yeah.
man. Not looking good for the Titans all of a sudden. Will, that's unlucky.
I mean, hey, I got to give you credit. I haven't had any food yet either, Aurora. So, like, I don't know. If you're in the same boat as me, like, there's still a lot of energy going around for somebody who hasn't had any food. Although, I don't know. The energy read, like, I can hear the laughs in the background. Is the team's energy all behind you?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to
Yeah,
keep this
knew that
going.
was
I'm having
coming.
fun. Until someone tells me to stop, I'm going to keep getting my yas and nos. No, yeah, I'm being told, okay. Oh, hey, man, good luck in your games. It sounds like you're locked in pretty well. You know your yas, your nos, and as far as I know, when it comes to shot calling, that's pretty much all you need. So good luck, man. Thanks for your time once again as we move forward to what will be, I'm assuming, an interesting picks and bans. As a fun interview at that. Actually, as fun as it is, so when we would, like, if we ever had to, like, record them or on Mondays or anything, like, short answers aren't as fun, but Aggro, I actually enjoyed that one a little more than I expected to. Just the energy from the Titans seems to be up in the air and very bubbly in that room.
Yeah, I suppose so. Maybe I just Aurora you now. I just go, and just make you do the whole thing by yourself. Maybe that's the play from here.
I do talk a lot. I could probably do it.
Yep. You could do it. I believe in you.
I thought you were going to do it right there.
No, that would be. I thought you were doing it to me because then you were throwing it back to me. If there's anyone who's equipped to do that sort of desk gore, it's you or me because we are definitely the two most long-winded on the team.
Definitely able to do it. Either way, we're going to be moving forward soon enough as those guys get into the game. But first, I want to talk to you about Insight Apparel. Of course, there are merch sponsorship for this year. You can get a lot of cool stuff. There are going to be all of those beautiful jerseys. I want to throw out the fact they added some shirts very recently, I think like a couple of days ago, that are the ready to print. It has the team logos on the front. There's also some hoodies that come with that. I believe they're in white, gray, and black that you can pick those up. So if the polyester or the jersey isn't exactly the look that you want something kind of low down graphic tee or graphic hoodie, we've got those in shop now. Make sure you go to shop.smiteproleague.com in order to pick those up. And of course, thank you again to Inside Apparel for being our merch provider for the SPL this year. They all look gorgeous. And I'll be honest, Aggro, I'm a little jealous of all of the jerseys that these players have been able to pick up. The Roll logo on one side, as well as everything that they've got going for it, the Smite Pro League logo on the other. It's been very fun. And again, a lot of that can go into it. Of course, these guys are wearing those as they get into game. And preparing for picks and bans in this matchup, we've highlighted the supports here. I want to know for you, again, shop.smiteproleague.com. Make sure you go there. And for you, Aggro, is that going to be where the focus is for this set? Is it a lot of support bans, your Sobex, your Athenas, your Ymirs, or is Aurora's, I guess God Pool so comprehensive and so massive at this point that you're worried, like, yeah, cool, you waste 3 bans, ban those, Ares, Kabrakan, like, I can continue listing them. Is it worth focusing out or trying to prioritize the supports?
A lot of teams have tried to do that to Aurora, not just on this squad, but on multiple squads in the past, and I'd say to varying success. For me, I don't know about picks and bans, but I'm focused more so on what the gameplay is going to be like between Johnny and Scary D, because those have been the two biggest question marks in the jungle so far. I'd say Layers, of course, looped into that as well as the other rookie in the jungle in the SPL this year. Which of those junglers can actually step up and make an impact on the map early on? I mean, Scary had a game where he was 9-0 in 9 minutes the other day and still nearly lost, but wasn't really his fault. I'm not expecting that type of performance from Scary D because that happens once in a blue moon, but could he be a little bit more aggressive early on? That Robin pick that he did that game on, maybe that's going to be more of a mainstay for him. Where is he starting to feel more comfortable? He tweeted after that game that he was starting to get the hang of this whole jungle thing. I'm excited to see what Scary is going to bring to the table here this week.
That actually brings up an interesting, I want to say, topic of conversation, which really is the fact that, Cherio's God Pool was something we talked about a lot last year, and I don't want to
Yeah.
say it was limited, but it definitely didn't have the same versatility as what we see out of some of the others. You know, like Sam, you never know if he's going to pull out, you know, a Thor and a Wheelish, a Thanatos, right? But you could typically bank on the style Cherio went for. Do you think in coaching that's kind of rubbing off a little bit on the picks specifically that we're seeing out of Scary, or has he brought his own flair that they're willing to branch out?
I think Scary's brought his own flair to the role. I mean, certainly Cherio's God pool was eclectic. That's the word that I'm going to use. It was pretty unique to what he wanted to do the vast majority of the time. You know, you're thinking of Naja, of course, the Kali, then the tank junglers, the Erlong Shen. We haven't seen those types of picks so much from Scary quite yet. I mean, we've seen the Nemesis. That hasn't looked super good in my eyes, but that was, again, earlier on. Basically every pick that both Johnny and Scary and Layers have from here, hey, he didn't do so well on it last time, but this is now him with 3 more weeks of practice underneath his belt and 4 more SPL games. You know, those things matter a lot. So from what we've seen from Scary so far, it's too early to call a definitive God pool, so to speak, but we've seen him trend more in the style of carry junglers than someone like Cherio did during his time in the SPL.
Well, I'll throw this over to you because this has been a very big point of conversation, especially because we're still we're getting pulled into the game relatively soon here. Jingwei is the top pick for the Valkyries, Wukong right behind that, and far and above, like the most picks there for the Valkyries are those two. And they've got more picks on those than the Tartarus Titans have on anybody. Or Tartarus Titans, if you want to enunciate a little bit better. Do you think those are going to be some of the more prominent picks? I mean, a lot of people have been criticizing, specifically Imelito, on this Jingwei. I'll join in on that. It hasn't really been as great as the priority they've put on it. I think it's been in their top 3 most of the time. And that it seems a little missed to focus her that much.
Jing is just one of those picks that if you don't know what you want, you know, the hunter, the mage wants to counterpick, your solo laner wants to counterpick, and your jungler wants to counterpick. You know, you only have so many slots that could wait until later on the draft. Jingwei is a pick that you're never going to feel horrible about necessarily, but you know, you look at gods like Anher and Heim, those have been the 2 that have been dominating the duo lane for the vast majority of this SPL season. I would put Jing probably right behind those 2. You've got Chernobog there. You've got Apollo there. I mean, there are really good hunters that are up and available, but gods like Chernobog and Apollo have much more clear weaknesses than something like Jingwei, who's going to be able to stalemate her lane fairly effectively, come into late game team fights, and do her job. So I'm not that upset about the Valkyries prioritizing this Jingwei highly. It shows to me that the other players who are there waiting for in the draft maybe are going for more counterpick options or aren't as confident in solid picks, that they aren't worried about counter picks in their roles. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's where the problem lies more so than an Emelito's God pool.
I'll throw it out there just because I brought it up for it. 6 total picks, 5 of those were in their top 3, and she has been only picked up 8 times in the top 3. So 5 of the 8 times that the league has prioritized her up there, it has been the Valkyries. But of course, we're going to be able to jump in now and see. We get pulled through. Wukong going to be the very first ban coming through. I actually think an interesting one to be picked up. I just highlighted him as the number 2 pick for the Titans, but admittedly with some of the other warriors we've seen on the rise, does Wukong, especially now there's Athena, kind of catch your eye?
A little surprised that the Titans ban it, but we know that the Valkyries play it as well. Ducky plays it in solo lane quite a bit, so it doesn't surprise me too much. This is more of we're setting up for a specific god in our corner sort of first pick strategy. They go right at the Titans players, not necessarily playing against the tier list, but more playing against what they expect the Valkyries would pick, particularly on Raffer. This leaves Set open, which is one of Johnny's comfort picks. That's a pick that you would assume Scary can play because he played it in solo lane a decent amount in the past. So we've seen Paul play it in mid. We've seen Scary play it in solo. I assume Benji's played it a little bit. We've seen Cyclone play that in ADC. Yeah. They decided to take the Heimdall instead. I don't know if Emelito showed a real propensity to going for that on her pick. So trying to lock in this Heimdall and make sure that Cyclone gets one of his priorities makes some sense.
Quick glance since I have it open on the left side. Once he played on her once, so maybe there's a little bit of focus there for you. Not necessarily their high priority, so you're not losing out on as much as you possibly could there. with that Heimdall. But I'm actually interested. So King Arthur, look, we talked a lot about him earlier today in the waiting room and the fact that he has been a very precedent and kind of force standing. I think he won 70% of his games last week, so pretty good whenever that comes into the equation. But Xingqian Sobek bans on the other side feel very targeted towards Raffer. And Tyr feels very solo lane. It left open something like Ymir, though. I mean, again, this is kind of the question I had with both of these god pools of the supports. Are Xingqian Sobek so potent that it's worth even giving the Ymir over?
Xingqian, probably not, but it's just a god that's very hard to lock down and kill, and Sobek's kind of the same. I do think Sobek's worth a ban. Xingqian is more second ban phase worthy. I think Ymir is a strictly better character, but is more volatile. You know, your margin for error is smaller on the Ymir, and when you pick something like the Morrigan, now you've got an option to try and punish this Ymir. You can get on top of him pretty easily, and even from a distance with that Dark Omen poke, make his life more difficult. It's a little bit risky because she doesn't have a way up and over that wall, but Titan's looking to play a little bit more aggressive, it looks like, with this draft. You have a Morrigan, you have a Cucullin. Now the Valkyries have to assume, you know, if we pick something like Set, now Paul gets access to it. That's one of Morrigan's better early to mid-game transformations, is training into that Set. And it is the Chang'e pickup for zeros.
Yeah, you mentioned this earlier.
And I get it. Like, if you get to late game in an even state, this Chang'e pick feels really, really hard to beat because she has great damage, great survivability, and great sustain. But through the early to mid game, you just don't put enough pressure on the map. You are constantly getting out cleared. And the Morrigan takes a little bit for her clear to get online, but then it becomes pretty good. You are definitely going to get pushed out of lane on Morrigan versus Chang'e. And it's honestly not even the worst transformation for the Morrigan. So I'm a little surprised to see Zeros prioritize it, but teams have been banning it from them. So if they feel like they can stall this one out and take it more to late game, then this Chang'e pick makes some sense.
Well, we had mentioned some of the bans that were going to come through. You had mentioned Ao Kuang paired with this Chang'e. Maybe too magic heavy, maybe not. Depends on what else they lock in here. But Ymir Chang'e stacking up there with the tier. Cerberus Ares band. Of course, the first thing I see when I think that is Cabrakan, so potentially coming up. But you had mentioned the Set earlier. This is where I'm lost a little bit. Nemesis Ratatoskr band away, both of which have been prominent for Johnny. But, I mean, if Set's available, is that someone that you go to? Do you try to scoop him up? They're saving it for their last pick. Where do you lean in the jungle?
Well, this is what the Valkyries have been doing. They like last picking for Johnny quite a bit, giving him his best option. I think Set is okay. I don't think he's got a great matchup into Heimdall. Set is more about a war of attrition. He whittles you down over a long period of time. He doesn't really burst damage you, and Heimdall usually pretty good against longer damage situations because of his ability to escape with so many options. Not surprised to see the Robin at all for Scary. This is a fantastic Morrigan transformation, and it's the pick that he's looked the best on, though, again, I don't think we're going to see a performance like we saw from him earlier. The Fafnir is interesting to me. I don't think of Fafnir when I think of Aurora's historic god pool, but it is just solid with their draft. It's solid up against what the Valkyries have. It's good against Ymir because you can lock them down in that dragon form pretty easily. It's very easy for you to get up and over those walls. You can transform in response to the freeze. I don't mind that matchup. Excited to see what Aurora's going to do on it because it's the type of pick that can snowball a game.
Oh, this is someone that we got to see, I think, a little bit of last week being able to come through. Fafnir, yeah, so 2 games played there. 0% win rate for Daji. 1 game played for Fafnir. 0% win rate for him as well. I don't know, Aggro. This again, they're maybe leaning a little further down on the list than what we expected. But how do you think Daji fares into this? I mean, not a lot of survivability. Although when Ravin comes into the equation, he's pretty good at getting out of pretty much anything.
Yeah, I really don't love the Daji here, Gore, because you've got multiple ways. Daji has a couple of issues right now. Number one, upgraded shell still absolutely annihilates this character come late game. So you're going to have to get your damage off early. And a lot of times you need to use that Trickster Spirit in order to get in to these team fights, and if you're not going for the beads, and so many players are going for beads right now that it's almost uncommon to see Blink early on. So you look at how that Trickster Spirit's going to work. Morrigan can cancel it by going into stealth. Cucullin and Fafnir can both leap. Ravin has the overhead kick and can just outright win the 1v1 up against Daji in the early game. And Heimdall can knock her away instantly and then get into a portal and create a lot of space. I think it's going to be hard for Johnny to pick his spots. The one thing I like about the Valkyries composition is they have excellent pressure on purification beads. Every single character kills you if you don't have beads. So the Titans are going to need to pick up the beads for both Benji and potentially for Aurora. And if those are down, all 5 members have kill threat on you. So I like that, but it requires you needing to group up and play as a unit in order to really punish that. And we haven't seen the Valkyries be able to do that early enough in games up until now. But maybe with this week of practice under their belt, they found a way to do it.
Well, I'm excited to see this. Again, a lot of people voted for the Valkyries. You had voted for the Titans in this one as we watched the predictions a little bit earlier. And so it feels like you're leaning that way here in picks and bans as well. A lot of good, solid team fight. I kind of want to highlight I'm historically bad with Warrior matchups, just generically. I play Bologna, and that's pretty much it. Cucullin and Tyr, I mean, who has an edge up in that matchup? We've been seeing Tyr on the rise, specifically when people like Julio play him. It is definitely different, but where does the Cucullin fit into this equation?
Tyr just wins lane pretty much for free because he has such great sustain and such great push power, and he does have solo kill potential on anybody. If you mess up and get hit by too many Fearlesses, you're going to die no matter what. But Cucullin has that turnaround potential that a lot of other warriors don't have. He can actually scrap fairly early on. He has some anti-heal built in with the Barbed Spear, his first ability in human form. So it's a matchup where Cucullin loses a little bit of that pressure that he normally gets for free because Tyr can just out clear and then run away. But if either warrior makes a misstep or gets a gank, there's kill potential on the other end.
I'm excited to be able to see this one. Again, a very big matchup between these two teams. Tied in the standings right now, the Titans looking to try and continue this streak, this kind of onslaught of victories. I don't know if I can even put the plural on that. Victory from the one they found last week. But it brings up the conversation, the mentality you got to keep in the back of your mind as to whether or not they're following the trend of the Bolts. We'll have to see how they do a little bit later. But the Valkyries in a very similar position. We're going into game now. Game number 1. Who's going to break the spell? Let's go down to the casters.
We're going to get a lot of mix-ups down in the bottom half of the standings here, at least starting off today with the Tartarus Titans versus the Valhalla Valkyries. My name is Dolson, Mifflin is with me, and Doug is working the camera for Game 1, Game 2, and what could be Game 3, moving on forward. And Mifflin, this was the game on the waiting room you were most looking forward to today, and whether that's because you're casting with me or because this is actually a pretty contested matchup. Oh, it's not that. Okay, great. So it's a pretty contested matchup then, in your mind. And there are some picks for us to dive into here. What a dream to be able to start off in this way. Zeros gets the Chang'e in the mid lane, going up against Paul on his Morgan. Why don't we start there?
Yeah, I really think that this is going to be one of the more integral matchups of this game. If Zeros is able to get off to a good start, and it looks like that's what he's planning on with the blink pickup in that first relic slot. Safety going out the window instead, trying to establish pressure through mid. And doing it up against a Morgan is certainly something he is capable of. Paul, essentially, should not be looking to fight Zeros for the first 10 or so levels. Morgan more so going to be focused on getting that Changely ultimate available and then getting a couple items under her belt so she can look for that one shot, whereas Zeros has got great poke from minute 1, and I think he's going to keep looking for it. Eventually, at some point, should turn that poke into burst, but it is a double-edged sword. He is not incredibly safe up against Scary D on this Robin.
Oh, Zeros does not reach level 2 early enough to be able to turn around any of that damage onto Paul, so Zeros down beneath half. Already sub 1 minute here into this game. Dual lane's going to be integral as well here, Mifflin. Look, Aurora, a storied player and storied interview giver after a little Marshawn Lynch situation earlier on the desk, has had a tough start to the year here in Season 8. Him and Cyclone's been playing together for a little while now. He's going to find a stun onto Rafford here, but an impale sends Cyclone spin the opposite direction of the fight. But Aurora piloting the Fafnir this game and picks up Horrific Emblem first overall. Does that tell you anything specific?
It tells me he's looking to get aggressive in the early. A Horrific Emblem gets immediately countered out by Heavenly Wings, so I imagine we see Rapper go for that in the second relic slot. Until then, though, Aurora is going to have a lot of kill potential for his team. The lockdown is going to be there. Fafnir Hammer, drop the Horrific, transform. You've already stacked the slow from the Hammer, and you want to keep that rolling out. Should be able to find some kills relatively easily. We've seen Horrific kind of fall out of favor in the SPL in favor of something like a Sunder. I think that Aurora could have likely had benefited from a Sunder as well. I mean, Hammer into you don't have defense anymore is a pretty strong combo. But if we are looking at early game team fights, pre-10 minutes, pre-second relic, Horrific Emblem at this point might be one of the most valuable relics.
Well, it sure isn't the same Horrific Emblem start with the Cabrakan where we saw in the highlight reel the old blue
Gross.
buff invade at level 1. So none of that, but still potential for some aggressive early game here from Aurora once rotation time becomes available. Johnny lurking over here on the right-hand side. He'll just make his way back to his own blue buff here, sensing that maybe Benji is going to try to get aggressive. Raffer is on the right-hand side of the map as well, so it's an early rotation from the Valkyrie support here. That's a level 2 Ymir. Find the stun, but no damage on the back end. As Scary D will back flip away, but now Scary D getting aggressive, doesn't hit the root. Zeros will return around some damage, and the Chang'e survives for the time being.
Even if he does connect the root there, there's no follow-up potential. Maybe if Aurora's able to get over the wall, but not going to work out. Aurora tries to steal away a red buff, gets there a little bit too late. Instead, just annoys the opposition. That hammer going to ring true onto Zeros and apply a slow, but as of right now, both supports kind of sacrificing some of their early game farm, trying to get involved, and neither support really finding value off of it just yet.
Well, Mifflin, what do we think now about the jungle matchup? Look, you know that Robin wants to get aggressive early on here. We've seen Daji, 2 or 3 times so far, hasn't won a game here just yet. So much of the emphasis, and for good reason, when you see this Daji, is where the bead's going to go. There's plenty of beads burners on the Valkyries, as aggro pointed out on the desk. But individually, Daji into a Robin, what does that matchup look like?
It can struggle. You kind of telegraph what you're looking to do. If Daji ever initiates with their third ability, the teleport, well, Robin can use the overhead kick to immune that, or at least the first auto attack coming through afterward. The 1v1 matchup in the early should favor Johnny. It's not really enough damage for Scary D to use the abilities and burst that way. Instead, it is going to come down to an auto attack fight, and Daji's just got a better passive for those. But come late game, I think it is going to be a very favored matchup for the Tartarus Titans. I mean, Shell almost completely immunes everything that Daji tries to do. Those block stacks still in effect at this point. The nerf has not come through just yet, I believe, which means that Daji is very predictable. Blink in, does the one auto animation cancel. Well, Shell blocks literally all of that, and then you're just a Daji standing in front of your opposition.
Roar rotates to the right-hand side of the map. Ducky over on the other side of his lane. Now he's down to half HP. It's the dash away from Tyr, but a brilliant, unfortunate maybe, wall from Raffer keeps Ducky right where he is. So first blood over to the Tartarus Titans. Could be second blood on the other side. Ymir locked in with 3 of the Titans. And with one fell swoop, Benji, Scary D, and Aurora grab 2 kills.
They do, but what are they going to do on the tail end of it? Maybe invade a blue buff as well. Scary D already 1 level in the lead, able to strip away a little bit more farm from Johnny. It's a bad feeling for the Daji, and Robin off to a quick start is also a bad feeling for the entirety of the Valkyries. Raffer, unfortunately, just caught out a little bit slow on the rotation, trying to get in there and make sure Ducky is able to escape. Does not get there in time, and instead falls down in tow. The Valhalla Valkyries still in this one, though. Only about 1,000 gold separating these 2 teams, and one good team fight could change it up. Still, every ultimate available, and the fact that they have CC still all true.
Johnny forced into the Palaus. Paul has to ult into the Robin, and he'll ult away. Aurora to get pulled in, but Aurora could get aggressive here onto Johnny, but Scary D is in as well. Now 2 kills for the Robin as Raffer triggers the ultimate, gets some detonate damage down, so Aurora will be turned around here. Zeros uses the ultimate to get the Valkyries on the board for the first time this game. The up-down from Ducky doesn't connect, but Zeros rotates over to the tune of a double kill. What happens here, Mifflin? The Titans found an early pick, and now they might lose 3, but big turnaround now from Benji. Keeps his life alive.
It does, but maybe the chase is there. Zeros gets additional movement speed from his abilities, but does not elect to chase that one out. Benji makes it out alive and makes that fight a little bit better for the Valhalla Valkyries, or for the Titans, rather, who had already come out ahead inside that engagement. Valhalla Valkyries do put 2 on the board for themselves, and both kills landing on their mid laner is going to be very nice for them. Able to transition that Chang'e into a much higher pressure pick now, already 1 level up on the opposition. But the Tartarus Titans, man, this pressure and this ability to turn around the fights is damning for the rest of the game. Now 1,000 gold in the lead, closer to 1,200, and it feels like all the momentum is on the Order side.
Now, it's worth looking back in history a little bit here, literally 1 week. Remember, the Tartarus Titans in their first win Game 1, pretty easy for themselves. Game 2, that was when Scary D played this Robin pick, got off to like a 9-0 start 12 minutes into the game, and then the Scarabs delayed things out and somehow nearly won that one. So it's no surprise, I think, that Scary D has picked up the pace in the last couple of weeks on this jungle pick. 2-1-2 right off the bat here, one level ahead of Johnny on this Robin. It's about limiting then those transitional mistakes that the Titans made in week 3 in their matchup against the Scarabs that got them their first win. So far, looking good. But you're going to have to worry about this Chang'e out of the mid lane. The ability to peel damage through the enemy team is certainly there for Zeros on this pick.
It really is, and not only just the poke potential as well as the CC from a range with the ultimate, but also the healing inside the team fight. Aurora finds Rapper, drops the horrific, but still no follow-up. Rapper could just walk out.
Is he going to keep chasing here? Why not? When Scary D's around the corner, but Ducky gets pushed off to the side. A transformation from Aurora. And a brilliant ultimate from Zeros, but the damage isn't enough. Ducky might have the chase on through. Scary D blinks away. Powwows now from Johnny, but it's Benji yet again on the rotation, and yet again the Titans turn around what looked like a great win for the Valhalla Valkyries, and now Ducky is going to get stunned here as well. Disastrous for the Valhalla Valkyries.
Such a strange engagement that just at the end of the day kind of looks like 5D chess, doesn't it? Aurora goes on to Rapper, drops the horrific, just slows him down, gives time for the rest of his team to rotate in. But the Valhalla Valkyries get the jump, just not quite able to secure those kills for him. And the Titans, or Benji in particular, rotates through and changes the face of that one. It's so strange. And even at the beginning of that engagement, when Rapper is getting aggressed on by Aurora, Johnny uses the teleport to go over the wall to secure his own back camps instead of helping out his support. Maybe a desync from the Chaos team that is perfectly punished by the Tartarus Titans.
Yeah, so this is now the unfortunate start the Valhalla Valkyries were looking to avoid. 0-3 for Ducky on this tier. Mifflin, that is a 3-level lead now for Cullen. Make it 2, maybe 2.5 there for Benji. And it's going to get worse now as the blue buff invades just become a little bit easier. It's one thing, right, if Benji has a couple levels of lead, but the jungle's somewhat even, like maybe a step forward to contest something over there on the blue, but it seems like the right side of the map already, 9.5 minutes into the game, is just a no-go zone for anyone on the Valkyries to try to make anything work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not stepping up to Benji. Last time 3 people stepped up to Benji, one of them died and he walked away laughing, right? If I'm the Valhalla Valkyries, I'm shifting my attention exactly where Rapper is now. Back swords, this duo lane, play the matchup, that's good for you.
Cyclone Spin uses the beads and the Bifrost to survive here. Rapper is going to get stunned down by Aurora, the Ymir. Couple of deaths, but a couple of assists as well. Now Scary D is going to make his way to the left-hand side of the map. Root connects on a Rapper. Good wall this time. Separates out the engagement. Rapper will live on. Won't fall for the 3rd time this game. But the journeyman, Scary D, he's been left, right, and center so far here. 10-15 into this game. And still had time to pull a 2-level lead.
He does. Benji on the other side getting aggressed on. Maybe we see the exact same thing. Bring 3,
yeah,
and this time the ultimate from Zeros is going to be able to pick that one up. Emilito, though, on the opposite side, getting aggressed on.
Oh, man, Emilito is going to get taken down by Scary D here. Relatively clean for the Tartarus Titans. Walked on forward, and Emilito didn't even use the beads. I don't think anything was going to save his life there. Paul was lurking just for a bit of insurance on the back side. Now it's going to be a red buff, an enhanced red buff invade. So a small difference, that could be a big difference depending on where Johnny and Zero step forward, but they will not. And so now all 3 kills for the Valhalla Valkyries stand on the shoulders of the mid laner here in Zeros. I don't know what the confidence level is, Mifflin, of a Chang'e solo carry, but might be the type of performance Zeros has to provide.
I don't know what Zero's confidence is like, but mine not incredibly high. Gonna want to spread that wealth a little bit, and even though he is 3-0 at this point, it's only about a 1-level lead over his opposition inside of Paul, who should be able to scale incredibly well into the late game. So far, Zeros has not been able to transition these kills into anything too sizable, whereas the Tartarus Titans are slowly and surely starting to build themselves up a gold lead. I want to see the Titans start to leverage what they have already, group up around this gold free, use the fact that Scary D has a 2nd relic and a 2-level lead over Johnny, use the fact that Benji has been a nigh unstoppable force on the battleground, have him rotate over. I'm not sure that the Valhalla Valkyries will be able to put up a defense, maybe a steal attempt, but team fight, gotta favor the Order team.
It's wild, isn't it, how last week Scary D really started to roll in the jungle against the Scarabs. Got the Titans their first win. This week, yet again, Scary D starting to roll. It feels in that, you know, in all the interviews, this Titans team had nothing but confidence in Scary D's ability to adapt to the jungle, start to get great at that role, and push this team forward. And we're seeing another example of that here in game number 1, where a 3-1-2 Robin in the early game has made its impact. Valkyries sticking close together. It took 3 of them to take down Benji just a moment ago, so you're going to have to play as a group here to stand any sort of chance, but difficult when Scary D has the escapability that this Robin has, beads, and the CC immunity baked into the kit. Scary D, Aurora, Paul, they'll step forward, find nothing in the mid lane. Back to farming we go.
But this is what we saw from the Titans last time around, where it felt like the Scarabs were almost able to make that miraculous comeback. They pulled a pretty decent lead in the early, and now they're starting to spin their wheels again. They haven't been forcing the envelope. We haven't seen too many concentrated efforts towards invading buffs or looking towards these neutral objectives or furthering the lead, and instead it's been this continued emphasis on trying to find picks, and now Ducky is the target of that emphasis.
Ducky will use his ultimate, immediately followed by Scary D. The root connects there, big heal from the tier, but there is no reply from the Valhalla Valkyries. Scary D will be on the board for his 4th time this game. No reply to the gank. There is a reply, however, on the map. The Valkyries rotate over towards the Gold Fury and will secure it. About the best thing that could have come from that situation if you're the Valkyries, but you're going to lose your tier 2 as well here on the right-hand side. 13 minutes in, you got an exposed Phoenix on the right. Maybe Gold Fury is about all the Valkyries could have gotten.
Man, the Titans are doing a jam it down strat, man. All right, we're going to find a pick in a lane, and then we're going to decimate that lane. Tier 1, Tier 2 tower, and it's been working for them so far. And now with Gold Fury dead, there's only one neutral objective 13 minutes in that either team's able to do, and that is the Pyromancer. Tartarus Titans make a pretty good trade there. That was the best response they could have had to the Valhalla Valkyries going for the Gold Fury. Instead of trying to rotate over and stop that from happening, or maybe try and chase out some kills, instead take the permanent objectives on the map. The Titans doing a very good job now of starting to pull their lead even further ahead. What was just 2,000 a couple of minutes ago has doubled in just about a 2-minute span, and they can continue to do this. Now both neutral objectives dead, I think they can just shift their strategy. If it's jam it down soul lane, rotate over, do it to Emilito now inside a duo.
That's right. Emilito got ganked once, didn't have to use his beads because he just knew his life was forfeit there in those moments. Emilito a couple of times has gotten aggressive onto Cyclone Spin. In a lane with Heimdall, we've seen kind of 2 different mindsets, where if it's another safe pick in something like the Jing Wei, we just kind of kick it and farm for a little while. But there is the potential for a little extra flair once the Onher joins that lane. It's all about Emilito just keeping pace here at this point, right? I mean, it's difficulty. He's a tier 2 wind, 2 tiers of the Wind Demon behind what Cyclone Spin has on the other side. I'll hold that thought as Zeros loses half of his HP and Scary D literally nothing. So Zeros now feeling just a bit of pressure. Is there a slowdown point though, Mifflin? You got 4, 1, and 2 on Scary D. See what happens with this red buff. If it's invaded once more. Zeros, man, you're in a little bit of trouble here, my friend. Uses the immunity, but it's not going to save you if Benji rotates over as well. Raffer now just going to sidestep, and it looks like the Titans got what they came for.
Man, the Titans probably could have killed Raffer there and said, "You're not worth my time," and just walks away. But to answer the question, you asked if there's going to be a slowdown point. I think we're in it right now. There's no neutral objective to fight over, so instead we're starting to see what I thought would be a slowdown point, but instead is a continued attempts at finding these dives. Tartarus Titans strip away a tier 1 mid tower and force the dual laner back. Emilito, yeah, let's get a tier 2.
Well, Scary D, we're going Phoenix diving, ladies and gents. 16 minutes into this game. And the Tartarus Titans feeling
gross.
Just fine about that. Now there's a left side Phoenix open as well 16 minutes into this game. This one getting out of control quickly. 6K, right around 7K even, is your differential now. The expanded version of that question, is there a drop-off timer that the Valkyries can survive to? I mean, look, we're at the point now where we've got to start saying, what happens, 15 minutes from now? Obviously, this Robin is a great early game pick. Scary D is proving that to us here. Benji 5, 1, and 2. Is there a point where you think the Valkyries' composition might be okay against a great early game to mid-game type pick in this Robin?
Well, realistically, Dave, 15 minutes from now, if this pace continues, going to be in the next part of P's and P's, right?
That's
That's
picks a band.
commanding a lead we're looking at this point. 16, 17 minutes in, 7,000 gold. But you are right, this Robin is going to start to struggle a little bit more so once we do get to that late game phase, due in large fact to the idea that he goes for this more assassin-centric build. Doesn't really have the tankiness available, but I don't think it's going to come up, man.
I don't know if we're going to get there. Look at Cyclone Spin dueling out Ducky there. Tier has not had a leg to stand on here this game. This is a big 1v1 that Johnny is going to lose every day of the week. He's 2 levels behind. Overhead kick from Scary D. Keeps the Palows at bay, so there's a bit of your 1 versus 1 interaction, but a great wall from Rafford delays off this fight. Ducky chased by Aurora, and somehow no kills fall in the mid.
Yeah, but, you know, tier 1 tower, yeah, that's gonna fall. The Tartarus Titans are unrelenting in chasing down these permanent objectives, and I think they can start to back up now, try and strip away some of the jungle, get ready for this Oni Fury that they have timer on, and force another fight there. Valhalla Valkyries are going to be forced into a position where they have to make a hard decision. Do we group up and try and defend this Oni Fury that's going to open up our map even further, or do we try and sneak away with a Pyromancer or a Fire Giant? I'm not even sure that the Valkyries could do the Fire Giant if even one member of the Titans show up to try and put up a defense, so it's likely just going to be that they look for the Pyro.
Yeah, I think that would be the right play here from the Tartarus Titans. A small engagement now. Rafford's going to slow things down. If you had any questions about where Scary D's power lies, Johnny gets soloed out on the right-hand side. Now Benji getting aggressive. Ducky will fearless the Cullen away, but the Salmon Leap re-engages here, followed up by a jump from Aurora as well. Transformation is in. We're going tower diving once more. Emilito gets deleted by Benji, and Aurora will jump right on in, lock Raffer in place, and the damage will fall right around the backside. Benji on a warpath, 7-1-2. Yeah, the F6 though might be the way to go here that pops up for the Valhalla Valkyries. All 3 Phoenixes exposed, 19 minutes into the game, 30 seconds on the death timer. This could be a quick one.
Man, the Titans, every time they show up to the fight, the Valhalla Valkyries fold like a lawn chair or try and split like a banana, man. They are not ready to dig in their heels. They have not once planted their feet and fought into the Tartarus Titans, and now it might be too late. 10,000 gold down. Yeah, it's a tough situation. We're 19 minutes into this game, by the way, Dave. Tartarus Titans have not even needed a reset. That gold lead might only be an effective 6K lead because they've established so much of it inside of these fights. Pyromancer picked up means that they can move a little bit quicker out of the base, and you better believe they're going to be moving in towards this Fire Giant.
Yeah, it's going to be a quick FG. If it does get started now by the Tartarus Titans, I'm not sure there's a world where the Valkyries, outside of maybe a miracle over-the-wall type steal, can step themselves forward here. And even if they do steal at the Valkyries, you're just delaying the game, right? I don't even know if you can defend with FG against what the Titans are bringing to the table here. You're going to have Oni Fire minions should this Fury go over to the Tartarus Titans working their way down the mid lane. And Myth, if we're not stepping forward to defend a Fury, I don't think we're stepping forward to defend a Fire Giant here anytime soon.
Yeah, there is just no world that the Valhalla Valkyries take a fight outside of their own base. They need that Phoenix as the unofficial 6-man. If anything, we need miracle situations through and through for the Valhalla Valkyries to turn around one of these team fights. I'm talking 5-man Chang'e ult into a fully channeled Desert Fury on all 5 lined up, and then Johnny pulls back in all 5.
Oh, it's going to happen. I can
They
feel
are going
it.
to survive all of it for them because it's such a tough situation.
Going for the steal.
I want to see the Valhalla Valkyries go for the steal, but no one steps up, Dave. They're all on the left-hand side trying to sniff out what happened to this Gold Fury a couple minutes ago. Maybe seeing if they can catch someone lagging behind on the Titans on that left-hand side, but not going to be that easy. The Titans are crossing their T's and dotting their I's, making sure that they're grouped up as 5 or at least 4 to start to push their way into these Phoenixes. And so far, Emilito has not backed yet, might not make it in time to defend.
People actually do that, like draw a bunch of lines and then go back and put dots over them and lines through them. Like, you're not just
like
dotting
cursive,
your eye
yeah,
as you're
you have
going?
to. Yeah,
Oh,
just
all
like
right,
you
well,
don't want to
fair
pick
enough.
up your pen.
I've not written in cursive since elementary school. I don't know. I don't know the intricacies of that. The intricacies of this game lie in the ability for the Valhalla Valkyries to defend underneath this Phoenix. Only fire minions in the mid lane. 4 members of the Valkyries underneath the right side Phoenix. Benji double knock up on the back line, and that's a 2 versus 1 he's okay with taking. The Valkyries losing health quickly. The Phoenix is as well. Raph locks himself in place. and Paul thanks him for it. Right side Phoenix falls here shortly, and the Titan Siege maybe after.
Yeah, Benji's still moving forward. You said he was going to take the 2v1. I think he was only given the 2v1. He'll take all
7-1 and
challengers,
3.
and now moving into the Titan.
Yeah, into the Titan room we go. Ducky, oh no! Oh no, he jumps on in and gets absolutely evaporated. Johnny, he'll die on his way down, but the Titan's gonna fall first. The Tartarus Titans in 22 minutes rout the Valhalla Valkyries. You can thank Benji and Scary D for this one.
Man, that front line diff and jungle diff, truly, Johnny has an incredibly quiet performance throughout that one. Luckily, though, silver lining for the Valhalla Valkyries fans at home, Zeros maintains a pretty decent KD there, Dave. 3-1 for the mid laner, and the only 3 kills the Valkyries are able to pick up. Tartarus Titans looking pretty convincing here in this set.
Yeah, the 78% man up on top of the caster predictions, feeling a little nervous, I think, after game number 1 there. That was not the pushback I was expecting from the Valkyries, you know, wholeheartedly. And it's a scary trend if Scary D is able to continue the pace that he set out of the jungle here recently. This Robin just looks good. Right, we're maybe in a world now, Mifflin, where you just got to take the Robin away. Look, if you're a Tartarus Titans fan and you've been a little sad about their performances, and now you're ready to buy that jersey and show it off in the sun after the way their previous games have gone, Inside Apparel Company has got you covered. Shop.smiteproleague.com is where you want to look to get all of your Smite gear. We actually just added a bunch of new stuff to the store as well. Some new t-shirts, some new hoodies, a bunch of cool stuff at shop.smiteproleague.com. One more time, thanks to Inside Apparel Company, and one more time, congrats to the Titans on a 22-minute win here in game number 1. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with game 2.
Well, Aggro, I mean, you know what? I think you're feeling a lot more confident in your votes for this week. The Titans come through and admittedly kind of make that one look easy. There's a couple of clapbacks from the Valkyries, but it kind of feels like from the get-go they have control of that one. And it all comes down to it. You know what? Everybody had a really important role. There's my blanket statement. Everyone can feel great on the Titans. This was Benji and Scary D through and through. Like, I mean, just the way they played, their KDAs reflect it. They just had a really, really great games. Yeah, and as you see, I mean, like Benji just being able to absolutely decimate through all of this. And again, a lot of control here on the Kukulkan. That was an insanely talented, and I would say potent performance. And Aggro, I can ask you now, do you think it's worth banning one of these two picks?
No, I think it's worth not picking Dodgy Chang'e, so you can have someone to actually fight
that works
on the
too.
right side of the map. Yeah, sorry, I got held back, so now I'm coming out of the gates hot. Look, if you take the ball out of the tier's hands, I mean, he's supposed to dominate the lane. If all of a sudden he gets behind because you're invading his blue, then you're not going to have any answer. So the answer is don't let his blue get invaded. If the Titans are going to show up in force to the right side of the map, who's going to stop us? The Dodgy? I don't think so. The Chang'e? Certainly not. I mean, you just have free reign over that right side of the map. And here's the deal. Camping Benji's Kukulkan to get him ahead and let him win the game for you is a tried and true strategy that has Benji holding the world championship ring. So I just think that the Valks came in with an idea of hopefully the Titans, they've looked a little bit slower paced at times. They've looked a little bit uneasy during the early paces of the game. Maybe we can, make them a little bit uncomfortable and then draft for a late game team fight that's going to be really strong. And if they had gotten to the late game team fights, I'm sure it would have been very, very strong. But the Titans were not messing around. They simplified their game plan. If we have to, we're not sure how our backline's playing together right now. We're not exactly sure what we want to do in these late game team fights. Who's making our objective calls? Who's the one calling our macro? Why don't we just simplify the game and camp Benji's lane and get him ahead and let him win the game for free? I mean, that seems like a pretty easy strategy to execute, and they did it very well in this game.
Hey, you control the right-hand side of the map, and at least for this, it seemed to really just echo all the way across the board. And I think it was mentioned a couple of times there by Dave, but realistically, it felt like Scary D on this Raven was quite literally everywhere at once. I mean, he just seemed to have a gank every few minutes, maybe every minute, somewhere else in the lane, all while still staying up in farm. I think, like you said, that Chang'e, the Dodgy, not really holding up to their own. So, do you think all of it isn't picks and bans, or is there some of it, like a little bit of level there for the Titans where they win in game? But there definitely feels like some heavy changes outside of game that have to then translate to heavy changes in game here for the Valkyries.
Here's the thing in my mind is that Scary D shouldn't be allowed to get Raven unless he's willing to top 3 it. From this point on, you should be banning Raven because he's played it a couple times now and looked by far the most comfortable on that pick in comparison to everything else. So if he's willing to top 3 it, fine. I don't think even in this position, I wouldn't ban it top 3. Maybe you switch out the King Arthur for the Kukulkan ban. Even then, Benji's probably going to do the same thing you won King Arthur. I think you just have to force the Titans to pick a little bit differently in their picks and bans than what they got away with in Game 1.
Well, now it's the challenge of adapting to it. Valkyrie's going to be able to take the first pick over here, over the Titans. And so far, so similar. At least the first ban was Athena for them last time. Now they swap sides, but they still ban out the Athena. I guess the question for you would be, Titans swapping over Tiamat is the one that comes to my mind at the front of the discussion. Banned by usually the second pick team, but admittedly the Valkyries didn't find success with her the first time that we saw her locked in for them. And, well, they take the conversation piece completely out of my mouth. I was going to ask if the Titans have to ban it, but they just go ahead and do it. I mean, Athena, Tiamat, you would say shading the King Arthur for the Kukulkan. So far, they're kind of following that route, but it's the Raven instead. How do you feel about that?
I'm fine with it. I in first pick position, it makes a little bit more sense because they can't take Arthur and Kukulkan, so they're gonna get one of them, but Ducky can take the other. So maybe if the Titans ban Arthur or Kukulkan here, it makes it a little bit more awkward for the Valkyries. They stick with the Wukong ban. These were the same bans in the last game as well. I think that you might want to take Haim here if Emilito is comfortable with it. That's clearly what the Titans prioritized. They decided to go with the Arthur. This can scrap a little bit better. Tyr better at outright clearing the wave and then getting away from you, but Arthur better at actually defending those buffs and fighting on that side of the map. So I think the Arthur pick is fine in this position. But now the Titans can go with exactly what they did in the last game, which is just go Heimdall Morrigan in their top two, save the Cucullin for third, and then they're in the exact same position they were in before of having a lot of very strong picks. Or they can swap to this, which is take the Ymir away and give it over to Aurora and let him run the map even better on this type of pick.
Yeah, and really just swapping it out. You had said the Morrigan Heimdall instead. It's Ymir Heimdall. Maybe some flexibility to the Morgan, maybe flexibility to the Cucullin. But this is something I think crucial on the other side, that King Arthur you had kind of highlighted. A little more scrappy, a little more control overall. And Ducky desperately needed that, right? I think he was 0-5 at the end of the game. Just, I mean, his lane, he was not allowed to exist in a way that would be comfortable throughout a majority of that. And so some changes coming through from the Valkyries, not just in the solo lane, kind of echoing out from the solo lane. The jungle switching from Daji to Nemesis, and Yanis being locked in here for Zeros. Both of those just feel better in terms of picks for the Valkyries. Like, all three of these feels like a better composition so far, at least to me, from what they had in game number 1.
Even if it isn't outright better, I appreciate that they clearly understand what happened to them in that game and why it happened to them, and are picking things that will not let that happen again. It's Arthur instead of Tyr, it's Nemesis instead of Daji, and it's Giannis instead of Chang'e. All of these picks fight better around the buffs early on. Giannis allows you to have way more mobility and be greedier with your farm, and then still make it over to the team fight with that through space and time. I definitely like the adjustments that the Valkyries have made so far. The Robin in the top 3 ends up working out beautifully because they get a priority solo laner and then get to ban 2 more in the second phase. Much, much better from the Valkyries here in game 2 in the picks and bans. Even if it doesn't end up working out, I like this so much more than teams who just stick to their guns and go, surely we could pick Chang'e again and not get punished for it. This shows me that the Valkyries are willing to make adjustments on the fly, which is a good sign.
And it was one of those things. I see Khepri Kuzenbo banned out here. Of course, Raffer has just as deep a god pool, although into some more, let's say, eclectic supports than what we see out of the top teams right now. Kuzenbo would have caught me off guard. Otherwise, Ganesh going to be locked in over there with a hover to Hu Yi right now. We'll get back to that one if it does get locked in. Camazotz on the other side, presumably for Scary D, but maybe going over into the jungle there for Benji, considering, or not the jungle for Benji, the solo lane for Benji even. It's something that we've seen a little bit of. Do you think, well, I guess this last pick will tell it. We can leave that question for a little bit. Instead, they pivot over to the on-herb. Once again, locked in for Emilito alongside this Ganesh. Two things that have reigned pretty similar to them. Fenrir locked in on the other side, maybe confirming that Camazotz is a solo. What matchup stands out the most to you in this one? I feel like there's a lot to pick from.
I think I'm still sticking in the jungle. I mean, Scary outpaced Johnny significantly in the last game. Nemesis has a pretty volatile matchup up against Fenrir because, of course, he can follow her with the Brutalize through everything she does, but that Retribution Shield can give her a lot of fight potential up against it. If he presses Brutalize too early and she just uses Retribution Shield, a lot of times she'll end up winning that trade. So I'm interested to see what Johnny's going to be able to do. I'm a little bit worried about the lack of CC here from the Valkyries. They do not have a lot of guaranteed hard CC. You're looking at Arthur with his stun and ultimate, a Giannis portal, and then some Ganesh dash and an impale. Like that is not a lot of hard CC in comparison to what they had last game. That's very different. Now, obviously, that heavy CC team comp last game did not end up working out. They're kind of going the opposite direction. This one is a little bit more high execution. We haven't seen that work out quite yet from the Valkyries. Maybe this is the comp to be able to do it.
Well, the Camazotz versus the King Arthur should be an interesting one as well. Fenrir, as you had highlighted, versus Nemesis. Maybe two of the pivotal ones, considering the matchup last time. Feels like the most important. But Camazotz, I mean, we go to Season 7, Phase 1. Yeah, that's what we saw in the solo lane a lot. He was pretty much everywhere. If you could throw him there, he wanted to play it. But how does he fare here in Season 8, specifically against someone like King Arthur, who just seems so potent right now? Again, very successful last week. I mean, is Camazotz going to be able to hold his own?
I'd anticipate Arthur to get lane control in that lane around level 5, but before that, Camazotz with those cleave autos and just being able to heal up off the wave ends up being pretty impactful. I think there is a world where it could be Fenrir solo instead, but unlikely. Fenrir just seems so popular in the jungle these days that I'm not ruling it out that it could be in the solo lane, but I think it is likely that it's in the jungle. I just think the Camazotz brings this unpeelable damage that is going to make life difficult for Emilito in particular. Sure, I anticipate Benji or Scary, whoever is on the Camazotz, to be chasing Johnny down as well in these team fights. But Zeros is going to be in and out of these fights so quickly on the Giannis that you're kind of leaving this on her on his own. Ganesh, difficult to peel with at times. Just a simple purification beads will get you out of a lot of what he's trying to do to you. I'm a little worried for the backline here for the Valkyries because there is a lot of dive with this Camazotz. And don't forget the other Camazotz that Paul's going to become on the Morrigan.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's a Morrigan that comes through. Honestly, if you hadn't highlighted that, I would have glanced over it. So it has been very potent for them. Morrigan has been, kind of a potent Paul pick for, a year? A little over now? Something that we think of with him pretty easily. Heimdall comes through. It's almost weird that we get a roar on Ymir, and that's not, the pivotal, okay, yeah, this game's going to be tough for you conversation, but you get so many key, crucial moments, like you said, the jungle being important. But this support matchup, Ymir, look, this is easy to say for me. Ymir has way more impact on a game than a Ganesh usually does. The silence from a Ganesh can be good. The pillars can be really good, but that's kind of what he's limited to. Ymir's walls and his freeze really do pilot things, and that feels a lot better for the Titans. Lower cooldowns and a lot easier to throw up and down throughout the game.
And Arthur and Nemesis do not really do well up against those walls. They can get walled off pretty easily in those jungle thresholds. So I'm interested to see if Zeros can use the portals more defensively and more for utility in order to try and save his teammates in this game, because I'd anticipate Johnny needing some defensive portals in this one. Aurora almost certainly going to be trying to hunt him down. Early Wingblade would be great here for Aurora. Really, Wingblades across the board for the Titans would feel pretty good. Very, very good up against what the Valks have.
Well, the Titans were able to do it pretty easily in game number 1. Let's see if the Valkyries can put up a little bit more of a fight here in game 2.
All the kills not landing on Zeros and keeping your Phoenixes up beyond 15, 16, 17 minutes in the game will be a better look here for the Valhalla Valkyries in game number 2. It's still Dolson, Myth, and Doug bringing you the action. One, maybe two more times if the Valkyries get a big turnaround here. First off, Myth, it is a pivot in the jungle for both of the junglers here. But maybe not a play style or game time shift for Scary D. You get the Robin band out, you still want pressure in the early, Fenrir's a good place to go.
Yeah, Scary D's been playing the Fenrir for a long time. Back in Season 2, he used to play this in solo lane pretty often as well, so I think it should be a god that he's got a pretty decent familiarity with. I do want to highlight Johnny's jungle selection inside of this Nemesis. As you already said, it is not that large of a shift in how he's going to approach the early game. I expect him to be largely absent until level 5, but we need, if you are a Valkyries fan, to see more from Johnny. He was straight up vacant from game 1. We need just a little bit more, because game 1 I think could be largely boiled down to jungle diff from Scary D putting Benji ahead, and then Benji diffed the whole game, but it still originated out of that jungle role. It needs to match a little bit of what Scary D is doing.
Yeah, game 1 just got way too far out of control for Johnny to be able to keep pace with. Every time that Daji stepped forward, it was just him and Scary D alone. Felt like it was going to be a losing fight. Benji's already got pressure onto Ducky here. Raffer level 2 on over to the solo lane. Benji will leap away, and Raffer take a nice journey onto the middle of the lane. That means Cyclone Spin and Aurora, they're alone here with Emilito on the left-hand side. Aurora won't be able to step far forward enough to grab a kill just yet, but it does mean there's some extra pressure, Mifflin. Look at the invades happening here. Scary D, as well as Aurora, invading on the red buff, invading on the purple buff. Valkyries will answer with a blue buff on their side.
So the Titans come out ahead cleanly. I mean, it's just a numbers game. They invaded more buffs. I mean, that is a tough situation. You do not want your Yanis falling behind early. You don't want Emilito falling behind on one of the most, if not the most aggressive hunter picks in the game right now. It is a tough trade. Meanwhile, I think Benji's just fine if he falls slightly behind. He doesn't really need to win the 1v1 in lane. He's still going to have that dive potential. He's still got incredible safety once he does take over to level 5 and get the bat out of hell. And we've seen that Benji is pretty competent in the solo lane. I'm sure he's all right losing out on just one blue. But I've said it before, one invade makes not for a lead. But Raffer, what are you doing up here, bud?
Yeah, Raffer has just been hanging out on the right-hand side of the map for a little while now, leaving Aurora and Cyclone Spin alone in the duo lane. So Raffer's been able to, I guess, somewhat impact the map over here on right, giving Emilito a little bit more time to just solo farm here, Mifflin. You think that's the mindset? Let's let this on her, try to keep pace. If Aurora's gonna stick in lane, we're gonna try to spread that XP as evenly as possible. We're gonna give it mostly to Emilito and see if this Ganesh can go somewhere else and find it.
I think Raffer is just trying to be wherever Aurora is right now. If the ideology was to put Emilito ahead, they wouldn't have allowed Emilito's red and purple to both simultaneously be invaded, as well as neutral camp control to head over to the Titans instead, though. I think it's more so about emphasizing that 3v3, potentially trying to shut down this Morrigan in the early, and it's a fight in the mid erupting right now.
Oh man, yeah, no chance, Raffer. Sorry, man. Tartarus Titans, they just got too much damage right off the bat. Scary D and Paul both turn into the Fenrir there, looking for an engage in the mid lane, and Paul will untransform back into the Morgan Neko. So first blood onto the Tartarus Titans. It's on to Raffer this time. The Elephant has just felt a bit out of sorts here in the first 4 or 5 minutes of this game, and the Tartarus Titans make him pay.
I didn't get to finish my little mythism earlier. One invade makes up for lead is what you do with the timers. Yeah, well, they got the red buff and the purple buff again. Tartarus Titans are just a different team this week, it feels like. This aggressive
Weird
ideology just running it down everywhere on the map. Feels like maybe the Chaos team's been frustrated with how the SPL's been going so far, and they're trying to make a statement here in this set. 1 kill at the 5-minute mark is all that separates these two teams as far as KD goes, but 5 minutes in, take a peek at the gold, Dave. We're talking 1,200 already. That is pretty crazy at the 5-minute mark.
Aurora's gonna get the solo out the Greater Scorpion.
Is that allowed?
On his side as well. I guess it is, right? I mean, the Emir, with nobody else around, was able to do it. I mean, anyone from the Valkyries steps up, that's a pretty free kill on over to the other side. But you're right, this gold starting to feel bad right away. Ducky hasn't been able to get much done over here in the solo lane. Game 1, right, I mean, it was kind of unrelenting pressure from the Titans onto Ducky. It just felt like Ducky was never going to get the chance on that tier to play the game. This just kind of looks like a bad matchup, where Benji's just been able to bully out this King Arthur and pull himself about a full level ahead.
Yeah, off of his own blue buff being invaded, by the way. I'm not sure. We haven't had a real great look at how that lane's been going, but I gotta imagine
A lot of this.
Benji's just been getting the better end of these trades.
I mean, look at that.
There's the sustain coming through. That Warrior's Tabi doing some work for him. Tank Boots, I thought, was just unmitigated the meta. Like, I thought we were going to see Tank Boots on every solo laner regardless, but Benji making an argument that additional power could help out, especially if he's got the sustained advantage.
Look, Ducky just needs to stay alive, right? I mean, that's what he's able to do so far. Half level is pretty accurate, it looks like there, as Ducky now catches up as far as levels on screen go. Aurora hits a freeze, Raffer there on the stun, big through space and time, though. Catches on to Aurora. It's a transformation from Paul into the Kamazats, and the sustain keeps the mid laner in the fight a little bit longer, than the bat out of hell swoops through, and the Tartarus Titans get another, yet again, onto Raffer.
Man, Raffer has just been left high and dry on a lot of these engagements. Surprised he doesn't elect to go for the portal defensively to get on out of there. Maybe did not realize Zeros had dropped the ultimate and saw that Johnny took it out, but tough situation yet again, and it's not been by accident where Raffer has been dying. Tartarus Titans continue to fight around this red buff respawn, able to strip it away yet again is Scary D. Zeros has had exactly 1 red buff so far this game, and it was the first one. Since then, has not been so lucky. Tartarus Titans establishing a ton of dominance in the enemy jungle, and my only note is keep it up. Keep doing this. It's working cleanly. I see no reason to stop.
Yeah, why not? The foot on the gas is the mindset now for the Tartarus Titans. It is a great rotation over from the jungle, combining in mid. And look, the storyline, I think, continues, doesn't it? Tartarus Titans, with Scary D, an aggressive early game pick, are feeling like they're in control of these last couple of sets that they've played. Trend continues here into game number 2. 0-0-2, impacting 100% of the kills is Scary D. Benefiting from both of the kills is Paul. A lot of this, Miff, we haven't really seen the full strength of any of these individual players on the Titans, have we? We're now starting to get an idea, but like we haven't seen World Championship Paul yet. We haven't seen the incredible solo laner in Benji. The duo lane of Aurora and Cyclone Spin, except for last week's set, hasn't hit its stride just yet. Once they do hit that stride, that's when this team gets really scary. Once Paul has one of these big performances, that's when you'll know this Titans team is a force to be reckoned with.
Look, I said it coming into this year. I thought the Titans would be in contention for top 2, top 3 in the league. I thought they'd be able to bring the fight to the Jade Dragons pretty consistently early on, but it has been just slight stumbles in the early part of the season as Aurora caught out.
Oh, finally a kill on the board now for the Valhalla Valkyries, and there is some burst damage for the Valkyries early on here in this game. You spend a couple ultimates there to get things done, and Aurora does end up taking a tumble and going down. Now the Valhalla Valkyries find themselves a bit of a kill swing here early in this game, and that's maybe where a lot of this needs to arrive, Mifflin. It's been a quiet start for the Valkyries, but if you can combine down that CC, Zeros will have enough burst damage to turn things around. Where did he go, though? Oh, is that just the damage from Scary D and Paul? It must be. And Johnny doesn't stand much of a chance here. The Ragnarok onto Johnny. Oh, but Zeros from over the wall turns around 1 kill. Suddenly the Giannis starting to swing its weight a little bit here in this game.
Cyclone Spin left alone amongst 3 members. Cannot take the fight, but finds the kill anyway. Zeros happening. Peace, and Aurora rejoins the engagement. Go down, Emilito.
Support fight happening in the jungle. Aurora trying to chase down Raffer. Aurora does have his ultimate. The wall is on cooldown, and Raffer be able to waddle his way onto safety before Paul made it an unfair advantage there over in the mid lane. So there's these moments, Mifflin, where that looks like a great fight for the Valkyries. They do get a couple of kills. The fact that Cyclone Spin didn't die, turned around, got an auto attack, and got the kill onto Zeros, I think is a pretty big turnaround in that fight for me. But there is some fight back here 10 minutes in from the Valkyries. They're not out of this game just yet. Down in gold, but in the right moments, we see that they've got the damage to skirmish.
Man, gotta give some shouts to Ducky here, having the confidence to continually step up to Benji. I don't think he's got the better end of a single trade so far this match, and Benji trying to prove it here, might look for the dive.
Could be a dive. Scary D is here just to confirm that fact, and Benji will now be on the board here in game number 2. Johnny thinks he can get something done here. It's the double dash in, the clap. We'll get it done. Zeros rotates in through space and time just to buy some space and time for his jungler there, and Johnny stays alive after picking up a kill over on a Scary D.
Raffer on the rotation over, seeing if maybe they can turn this one around. Dharmic Pillars is available, so if he does try and catch out a Roar, could set up for a fight. But Zeros already rotates back over to mid, and Johnny does not have the ultimate available, so instead it's just going to be a concentrated effort to keep the towers alive. Look, we're talking 3,000 gold at the 11-minute mark, Dave. That's what's separating these two squads, and all the aggression has been rooted inside the Chaos team. I gotta think that if you're gonna be this willing to take fights, if you're this willing to scrap with the opposition, might as well do it somewhere where you can get something off of it. I want to see the Titans start grouping up around these Pyromancers, around these Gold Furies, and fight there. If you're taking these fights as cleanly as they have been, might as well get the objective off the tail ends.
Yeah, why not? The next stage of this game for the Tartarus Titans. It's one thing to keep the pace, it's another thing to convert these kills, these picks, into objectives. Emilito's largely been left alone here, and he'll be left alone to take down the Greater Scorpion over here on the left-hand side. Worth checking on over into the duo lane, scaling much more similar in the gold XP department between Cyclone Spin and Emilito here this game, and Valkyries feeling confident enough with the Dharmic Pillars to try and successfully take down the Gold Fury. This time you didn't have to send the Titans on over to your solo lane to get it done. That's a clean old pick there for the Valkyries.
Yeah, a little bit of deja vu. Seems like the Valkyries a little bit more so concerned with early game Gold Furies than the Titans. Emilito getting the brunt end of a little bit of pressure from Cyclone Spin, but the Titans, undeterred, say, all right, well, they got Gold Fury. Guess we can force a fight here on the Pyromancer. Aurora and Paul already grouped up.
Good wall there from Aurora. Beads from Ducky used. A little bit late, maybe, a little bit early, unsure, but Johnny's rotated in, attempting to help his solo laner, and instead the portal sends him right into the waiting arms of Benji. The Tartarus Titans get a clean pick. They're still on the chase here as Benji leaps in, gets some damage onto Raffer. Looks like the one kill is all the Titans will get. Not to the Pyromancer, instead Myth back to farming, maybe push in the solo lane tower.
Yeah, the Titans are more so concerned with permanent objectives if history is any indicator. And by history, I mean game one. Scary D does not have means available and was forced out by Ducky just before he died, but it seems like not even to slow down the Chaos Team's pace.
Well, it looks like the Titans will be able to get a kill here on the Raffer at least, but fortunately for Aurora, the wall, the stun, the blink didn't quite connect, and that maybe bought Johnny enough time to swoop through and find a kill. Benji wants to dive this tier 2 tower. This will be successful. A double kill for the bat. And the Tartarus Titans make it a 2-for-1 underneath the Valkyries tier 2.
Yeah, Benji's not even tanky, by the way. We're not seeing like really any of the true
Soul Eater,
dedicated
Warrior
bruiser items that come through in Season 8. Yeah, my man has got such a large lead. He decided to pick up Soul Eater in that third slot. Ducky blinks forward, trying to catch out. Paul does not quite get the fruition for his efforts, and instead just trades out that aggressive relic for about 1/10 of Paul's HP bar, a trade that I'm sure the Titans are incredibly comfortable with. And this gold lead continues to balloon out, now rapidly approaching 3,000 at the 14-minute mark. The Valhalla Valkyries are still in it. We've seen these small little skirmishes where they've been able to pull ahead in these fights, and I think it comes down to they have to play around a Rapper. They need to get good usage out of these Dharmic pillars to shred away defense and then finish off their kills. So far, they've been struggling. A lot of the times, the Tartarus Titans are making it out with maybe 20% HP, sometimes 30, but always with more kills.
That's right. Zeros is going to play a big role here in this game as well. A couple of kills on this Iana Squall. Double freeze from Aurora. Through space and time channeled, and Zeros will get out alive. Raffer will as well. Great usage of the CC immunity and the ultimate there from the Valhalla Valkyries mid laner. Keeps his support alive along with himself. Johnny slowly rotating in here as well. Johnny actually a level ahead of Scary D. Could shift here a little bit as the Pyromancer started up. Raffer up and over the wall, and the Titans will secure the Pyro, but it was close.
Yeah, Raffer almost able to steal that one away with a Dharmic
That's 4
pillars,
levels in solo.
That's the best defense I think you could hope for. Wait, is it 4? Oh my goodness, level 13 is Ducky up
Just
against
Benji's
Benji's 17. That is gross, my guy. I mean, Ducky is essentially wet paper at this point. This King Arthur cannot even hold a candle to the damage output and backline disruption that Benji is able to afford his team. I think that this clearly should state how the Tartarus Titans should approach the next couple minutes of this game. Have Benji leave the soul lane. It feels like he's done over there, right? Already taken out the tier 1 tower, already established a massive lead. Let's bring him over into the team fight, all right? Let's get Benji involved so we can start blowing up these 5v5s.
Ducky, luckily, and maybe unluckily, not able to secure his own blue buff there. Did 99% of the damage.
God, that's his tower. Get
and,
out.
The blue buff will go down. Yeah, right. It's a tier 2 tower, but I don't think Benji's all that worried about it. Now in back-to-back games, Benji has had an onslaught. Cyclone Spin winning this trade against Emilito. Let's see if Cyclone Spin wants to dive the tower. Emilito turns around the damage, uses the Aegis. He'll stay alive. Cyclone Spin had the shell, so there was a little extra damage uptime there for the Heimdall. But we just saw what Cyclone Spin did to Emilito. How will Johnny fare in this engagement? Knocks him back. He might have been able to stick around there with his ultimate. But chooses not to do so. Now it's an engage in the mid lane. Ragnarok onto Zeros and Brutalize would have followed him anyway. Paul back on the board.
Man, Paul finally picking up his 3rd kill of the game. Yeah, finally at the 16-minute mark.
Finally.
Has hit pace pretty well here. But now the Tartarus Titans are in a position where they can push their lead even further ahead. We've seen that Cyclone Spin cannot be stopped by Emilito. Even Johnny rotating over really isn't quite able to do anything. Might as well have the Chaos team work their way in towards this Primal Fury. Set them up for an easier Fire Giant in a couple of minutes as well. It just feels like this unbridled aggression is the version of the Tartarus Titans I want to see from here on out. Now we're starting to see the peak of what these guys are capable of, and now this is my expectation for them every single match going forward.
Wow, Benji has pulled the attention of 3 and stays alive and buys his team time to get the Primal Fury for themselves. We have reached a 6,000 gold differential 17 and a half minutes into this game. And just the presence of Benji on the right-hand side of the map was enough to make the Valkyries think they had a chance at getting the kill. The Bat Out of Hell was ready to go anyway, so Benji likely wouldn't have fallen. Benji is a full level and 2 out of 3, or an item in 2 out of 3 tiers ahead of Ducky here in this game. 10,000 player damage to about 5,000, literally doubling up. Valhalla,
Hail Mary.
Valkyries, what is this call? They're starting the FG, but Benji, he's right there.
Burning.
The Dharmic Pillars bring down the objective quickly. The Valkyries are able to secure the objective. Big time call. Now you need to stay alive throughout the rest of this fight. Emilito deleted by Paul, and now there's a dive into the back line. Zeros will make it through his portal. Up down from Scary D, and it's a brutalized defensively. It's a beautiful call from the Valkyries, and Mifflin, for the time being, it works out.
Ducky should be able to get out of here. The silence, you
Make
can't
dive.
speak. Rapper putting him down, but not quite able to peel out for his
Wow.
teammate. Defense, aura, and silence, not quite enough. Fire Giant,
worth?
though, maintains on 3 members. I think it's the best play the Valkyries could have gone for. Even if they all die, at least the Titans aren't able to get the Fire Giant for themselves. Does at least buy them a couple more minutes in this match, and that's something that the Valkyries desperately need.
You're right, maybe it's less, we've got the FG and suddenly we can push, and more, you can't get the FG over the course of the next 4 or 5 minutes, and so there might be a delay here, but with the numbers advantage, the waves have been pushed in, Tier 1 goes down over and left, Tier 1 nearly down here in the mid lane. That was the best looking fight the Valkyries have had, and they lost 2 people and didn't get anyone. I mean, right? I mean, there were a couple picks earlier in the game that the Valkyries have been able to take advantage of. But that fight looked like, for a moment there, it was balanced on a knife edge, so still some fight back here. It's all about Johnny, I have to feel like, at this point, being able to combine with Zeros and Rapper, and then eventually Emilito, once this game goes on. But Johnny's been able to keep pace with Scary D, so this Nemesis has to choose those targets properly, and it looked like Johnny did a good job of it there in that previous fight.
Yeah, I'd say Johnny's one of the few members of the Valhalla Valkyries actively trying to fight in at this point. Ducky stepping up bravely or wildly, depending
Strength
on how
check.
you see it, but still going in.
Oh man, space and time, no good here from Zeros, but Aurora gets ulted, protection stripped away, and Johnny picks up the first kill of the fight. Valhalla Valkyries want no more though. We got one, and that's it. Rapper silences out the brutalized from Scary D. And this is how this team will get back into this game. Emilito uses the Aegis as Benji diving beneath the Tier 2 tower. Now the Camazotz has to turn tail for the first time this game, but instead, he's going right back in. Scary D knocked up, stunned down on the left-hand side. A bit disjointed here from the Titans. Zeros won't get the kill, but the fight back from the Valkyries is here.
Good slow. Scary D on the retreat. Rapper trying to close that gap, but no Dharmic Pillars means even if he does get there, it's going to take a lot more to find that kill. The chase is still on. Zeros
Might be up quickly.
is teleported forward.
Might be a low cooldown here for Rapper if the Dharmic Pillars come back up, but looks like Valkyries are going to try to get it done otherwise. Cyclone Spin just wide on the ultimate.
Benji.
Sends another flying, but now critting through the Valkyries. Benji swoops back into this fight. They bought their time. The Valkyries thought they had an advantage, and the Tartarus Titans make them pay.
Yeah, you guys thought you could fight us. I'm Cyclone Spin in this scenario, by the way, because you cannot. That crit is so strong. Benji rejoins the fight, and the second we see Camazotz amongst 3 members of the Valhalla Valkyries, you better believe that this level 20 Soul Laner is going to change the face of that engagement. Tough situation for the Valkyries, who thought for a moment they might be able to swing it in, but instead it's 3 in the grayscale screen, and Tartarus Titans knocking on the door of the base.
Yeah, for 15 seconds, so this Phoenix likely the target now for the Tartarus Titans. Ducky doing his best to contest, but it's still a 4-level differential over in the solo lane. The Camazotz has just been way too strong. Johnny will get knocked off to the side. Aurora had that stun connected, would have been a kill, but it's a kill anyway. Benji unstoppable. 7:02 out of the solo lane, 5:04 out of the mid lane for Paul. The Titans just got about 1 minute and 15 seconds here, Mifflin, so that FG is back.
Man, Benji and Paul woke up differently, huh, this week. Maybe sick of how the pacing of the league's been going. Look, we're going to find some wins, and we're going to do it today, is what it feels like they're saying with just their gameplay. And now, the Tartarus Titans have exposed one side of the map, that right side, Phoenix having fallen down, creates a win condition for them. If another team fight goes as cleanly as the last one, 3-0, I think the Tartarus Titans can certainly look for an end. Fire Giant, be damned. Don't even need it at this point. That's how large a gold lead we're talking about. I've equated Fire Giant in the past to about 10,000 gold. Well, you don't need it. We're already 11,000, now 12,000. Actual gold up. This is a 99%er for the Tartarus Titans.
10,000 real gold doubloons sitting in the bank of the Tartarus Titans that the Valkyries don't have. Benji, by the way, has last 3 games, counting game number 1 of this set. 8-1-5, 7-3-14, 2-0-7. So, feeling good. If you're the Tartarus Titans, you're one yet to die here in game number 2. Pyromancer secured, and what a time. Fire Giant back and respawning. We're still 7 minutes away from an enhanced Fire Giant. Out that the dance goes on for that long. Remember, the Valkyries snuck away the first FG. You saw little life on the order side. And then the Titans delayed out the fight for those cooldowns. Kind of wiped the map with the Valhalla Valkyries. Now it's Fire Giant started up by Cyclone Spin. The up-down from Scary D puts the Fenrir right back in range, and the Fire Giant will go down quickly. Separating is Aurora with Johnny lurking around the right-hand side. Fire Giant secured now by the Valhalla Valkyries. By the Titans, excuse me. Attempted steal by the Valkyries, and this could be a game-ending fight. It's at least a life-ending fight as Johnny, the first to fall.
Ducky got a 1v1 with Cyclone Spin in the back. I call it a 1v1, but he is
losing.
just retreating. Rapper got a 1v3. It's not a fight, though. He is just retreating. The Valhalla Valkyries cannot withstand the blunt
game,
force,
right?
rather. It's just trauma of the Tartarus Titans. You're right, Dave. It's gotta be.
It's just gotta be game here. Look, Ducky is not gonna get a chance to go back. Cyclone Spin, Paul, Benji make their way into the Titan room, and Ducky will have faster route back here in just a moment once the up-down from Scary D will get the kill. Zeros, you're the last line of defense, my friend, for the next 15 or so seconds, but this game will come to a close. Oh my god.
Where'd he go?
24 and a half minutes in. Deicide for the Titans and win number 2 on the year.
What is that? 9 total kills for the Valhalla Valkyries inside this set. The Tartarus Titans may have legitimately effectively doubled their total kills in the SPL so far off of this
Benji
set. I'm
had
sure
9
Gore
kills that game.
will be able to tell us that one later on. 9 kills on his own. Good lord, man. Tartarus Titans, good job. This is going to be a hard one to break down. I do not envy the desk.
Well, you can kind of copy and paste some talking points, can't you, where it felt like Benji just controlled the right-hand side of the map. You weren't able to play over there if you were the Valkyries. Cyclone Spin eventually got the build online for the Heimdall. There was no pressure on the left-hand side from the Valkyries. It felt like, you know, we could probably just play back the desk from Game 1 again, Miff, here in Game 2, and it would probably be just as true.
Yeah, we just got to redact all the god names, right? Every time they bring up a god name, just redact that, bleep it out, and it still rings true. They brought the exact same style with a slightly different draft this time around. Benji looks so good.
Oh, look at this. Unfortunate for Joe here. He's a Valkyries fan. The jerseys look great. You're very fortunate that you got your hands on those jerseys and that hoodie. Unfortunate that it happened in this manner as the Titans sweep the Valkyries. But the jerseys, the hoodies, they do look good. And that's all thanks to the Insight Apparel Company. Shop.smiteproleague.com is where you'll want to head if you want to get your hands on some of that sweet Valkyries merch or some Titans merch after a set like this. Up next, fan favorite and the Dragons are at it. We've got new hoodies, cotton t-shirts, all that and more at shop.smiteproleague.com. So make sure you check that out. Thanks once again to the Insight Apparel Company. That's it. That's a quick first set of the day. That's it for this one. We're going to take a break. When we come back, the desk will break it down.
Welcome back, everyone, to the SPL powered by Alienware. And once again, I'd like to remind you that because of Alienware coming on as our exclusive title sponsor, our pros are playing on the powerful Aurora R10 Ryzen desktop. The Alienware 25-inch 240Hz gaming monitor looks beautiful, runs beautifully, and is fantastic. Of course, you can always go to, I believe, it's right there on the screen, smitegame.com/Alienware, and guess what you can do? Use code SMITEAW, and you'll be able to get all of their fantastic products. We'd like to once again thank Alienware for partnering with us for the SBL here in Season 8. Make sure that you check out their products, but also give them a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Alienware, as well as join their global community at AlienwareArena.com for giveaways and more. In fact, we've done some long ago in the past. There's a whole skin, Alienware Raw. Yeah, exactly where you could find it, Alienware Arena. So make sure you hit them up, follow them around the internet. But right now, it's time to talk to Aggro about how the Titans are looking good, man. I mean, look, I'm going to admit I was a doubter this week. Me and Dave are going to be crying our own tears as our percentages for the waiting room drop down. But everybody else gets to be pretty happy. I mean, this is a really good turnaround, good pickups here for the Titans.
And then it was all centered around the side lanes, man. Benji absolutely crushed in both games as Camazotz looked completely unstoppable. Again, just got a lead and ran with it. I think at one point he was up 4 levels. Over Ducky. This little bit of an awkward portal from Ducky ends up hurting him in the end. But Benji was just completely unstoppable in this game. And how about Cyclone Spin as well, man? I mean, he was dominating on the other side of the map. He was taking fights to Emilito. At one point, he 1v4s. I think it's this clip right here. I mean, the rest of the team's running, and Cyclone goes, I think I'll fight. I think I've decided that I will simply chew through an upgraded shell and kill multiple people on my own. And he did exactly that, man. Unreal performance from Cyclone in this game. When the side laners are popping off like this, it's going to be very, very difficult for anyone to do anything to help out. And unfortunately for the Valkyries, that was the case.
And what was fun was, not only Cyclone Spin, but I feel like we had a really interesting dynamic. The first game, it kind of felt like it was all jungle solo, and it was Scary D and as well as Benji. And since he got to have both games, I guess he earns the ultimate quote-unquote MVP of the set if I gave it to somebody. But I think it was really interesting to see the shift for Scary D specifically from like the aggressive Raven to kind of a more assist-centric here in the jungle. Like, if you look at it, what was it? Yeah, 2, 3, and 11 on that Fenrir. Whereas Paul, surprisingly, alongside Benji, I mean, 5-0 and 7, 12 kills affected versus 11 of Benji. Like, that Morgan got involved and got in there a lot of the time. I think this team just, again, it took them a little bit longer than people were expecting to get together, but now it definitely seems like a much more formidable foe than most teams are willing to put up here. The Valkyries get knocked down. I know that they have to play again a little bit later, both the Titans and the Valkyries. I think the Titans are going to be taking on the Warriors a little bit later. So there's some stuff on the horizon, but Aggro, I mean, this is a great showcase for them to start the week.
It is. It's a great start. I mean, they've won 2 sets in a row now. They're starting to look a lot more comfortable. It's not just Benji having these great performances. It's Benji and Cyclone and Paul looking good. Scary has a really good set. And Aurora did exactly what Aurora likes to do, which is be active early on the map, go around and help influence some of these invades, and he did that very, very well in this game. Definitely a good side for the Tartarus Titans. I'm excited to see what they're going to do later on this week against the Oni Warriors. I think that's going to be a fun set to watch.
Who knew that just being able to answer interviews with yes or no, it really did give them whatever they needed to move into the game and do it appropriately. I don't think it's going to work for everybody, maybe just Aurora, and hopefully we keep it that way. But luckily, we have another interview, hopefully with no just yes or no answers, down here with Paul coming up right now.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out pretty quickly here. Paul, first question. Will I get more than a yes or a no, or should I scrap all the questions I have prepared? I couldn't hear you, Paul. I don't know if you might be muted there. Okay, I got you now. All right, so I'm assuming with the laughing and all that sort of stuff that we're good to go here. Look,
I said
all fun and games there, preset. Now 2 sets in a row for you guys. You've won, and both of them have looked very clean. I'll give you kind of a broad one. What do you think worked so well for you guys here today, and maybe even last week? They looked like similar sets in the ways that you were able to win that Scarab set and the way you're able to win the Valkyrie set here. What do you think is really starting to click for you guys?
Yeah.
You're so troll, man.
Nice.
I don't know. I feel like we're just getting a bit better together, and you know, building up that synergy. But as well, I think that team isn't clicking very well right now
Right.
as well. So that made the game a lot easier as well. But a little bit of both, I'd say.
So do you walk away from a set like this, and it was what, a 22-minute game in game 1, then 24. So I mean, 2 very quick games. Do you still look at that and you have some things that you identify as a team that I know you got VOD review and all that sort of stuff. Is there still stuff in a set like this that you guys identify as wanting to improve on?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we were just talking about it right when the set ended. We definitely were making a few troll plays. A little too much diving and excitement. But yeah, we definitely are gonna look back on the sets and work on it.
Well, look, when the games are going that way, you can get kind of caught up in the moment. You just want to W key forward. Things seeming to work out for you guys. Was the game plan sort of, because look, the right side of the map, or depending on which way you're looking at, the solo lane side of the map just felt like a no-play zone for the Valkyries throughout this entire set. Was the game plan sort of to get Scary D on something fast-paced and aggressive early and just try to outpace Johnny and try to get Ducky out of the game?
You know, I
Or did
don't
it just
want
happen
to
that
give
way?
away.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't want to give away too much strats, but
This can be a
he
one-word
picks
answer.
what he wants.
All right, there you go. Fair enough. Yeah, I don't want to dig too deep here, but look for you guys over your last 4 games, you have gone 13-1 and 31. So an incredible KDA for you over your last 4 games. Do you think that you sort of, regardless of the rest of the team, although I know it's a team game and it's all very important, do you think you as a player are hitting your stride here in Season 8?
Sure, I guess. I just feel like when you're winning as a team, it's a lot better.
Sure. Fair enough.
You play a lot better, so.
Right, it's easier to have KDAs like that when everyone's doing their job. Benji in his last 4 games, 26, 4, and 28. Scary D, 23, 9, and 35. Cyclone Spin and Aurora starting to come together there in the duo lane. Your next matchup up against the Warriors. A couple of your old teammates over the last couple of years, Neil and Cubo Fred. For you and Scary D, is there anything extra in that matchup, or is it just like any other team?
Yeah, I mean, I guess well, they're teammates for like how many seasons now? Like 3 seasons.
It's been a
so,
while. Right.
So I don't know.
Maybe.
I guess a little bit, I'd say.
Sure.
But
Well,
still,
look,
I mean, it's just an SPL set, so.
Right, just a chance maybe to beat some old teammates, but more importantly, a chance for the Titans to get another win. Paul, looking forward to watching that set. I believe tomorrow is when you guys will take on the Oni Warriors, so congrats, get some rest, and best of luck in your next set.
Thank you.
Well, that's right, a good one. I'm over here petting a dog, enjoying the interview. I'm sitting here a little zoned out. I'm just enjoying what Paul has to say about things. Looks like it's going to be a really interesting one, but that is not all that we have for the SPL today. The Dragons, how about? The Jade Dragons at that will be taking on the Olympus Bolts here on the second set. It's going to be really interesting, a very crucial one for this week. We'll have to be able to watch that one right after this.